I'd like to introduce our guest today. He's probably one of the most humble guys I know, and I looked him up on the internet this week, and I couldn't believe all the stuff that Tony Abbatiello has been involved in, and I'm proud to call him a friend and excited to have him on. Tony, welcome to the show this morning.
Thank you, Glenn.
And Tony, as we normally do each week, why don't you introduce yourself real quick to our guest? Tell us a little bit about your background. I know there's so much to cover. We could talk 20 minutes just about your background, but give us a little start at how you got started into the farming business.
Well, originally I came from Staten Island, New York. I am the son of immigrant parents that came from Italy, Naples, Italy, and from a young child for some reason, I became obsessed with horses. In fact, I was told that as a young man, a young child, not a young man, that we had peddlers come around with horses that were selling produce, was selling hardware. And my aunt told me at one time that whenever I disappeared, I would be following the wagon. I was obsessed with the horses, and it became an obsession in life for me to follow that vocation.
Well, it's amazing because that passion has taken you in so many different areas. And I want to let the audience know today that although Tony's been involved with horses since a long time,
yes.
And he's still a young guy and virile at heart and excited to be around. I'm excited to be around him. He's also been involved in the restaurant business. He's been involved in movies, he told me today. He's been involved in home building. He's been involved in so many different businesses. So there's a lot of deep wisdom that I think you're going to hear from Tony today. And Tony, I thank you for coming in today. We have so much to cover. I mean, we started touching on the horse industry, and we're going to talk a lot about that today. I want to talk a little bit about farming, as we discussed in general, because you still own the farm, and it's quite an impressive facility, by the way. I've been there. And a lot of people don't know that the horse industry is a billion-dollar industry in this country. Is that correct, Tony?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. In fact, you got to realize that as areas became populated, in places like I'll take the state of New Jersey, where we had a numerous amount of dairy farms. When the dairy farms went out, there were two objects that a state had. One, it can go into green acres. When you put real estate into green acres, remember, you're taking it out of the tax maps of that community, and it becomes a liability. Or it could be purchased by someone that wanted to raise livestock, which became a beautiful area, as you know, in parts of New Jersey where we have horse farms and how beautiful they look with a mare and a foal.
Right.
And that becomes not a liability to the community, but an asset. Pays taxes, and we hire people that, believe it or not, that would have a problem getting jobs in other areas where people that are non-professional, and they start there.
That is so important, because I don't think people realize. I mean, first off, just think of most people in the country's viewpoint of New Jersey. You know, they come into Newark Airport, they see, the refineries there and so forth. And everybody, when you say the Garden State, people kind of say it tongue-in-cheek. But when you get out of that area and you start to get into some of the rural areas of New Jersey, it's pretty incredible. And Tony, you brought that up, how beautiful some of these farms can look.
Oh, without a doubt, Glenn. Also, for people to know that the horse is the state animal of New Jersey.
And you told me...
We celebrate that in June.
There you go, okay. So, and you also told me, relative to horses, you quote this about Texas and horses, remember you told me?
Oh, yes. We have more horses per square mile in the state of New Jersey than they do in Texas.
It's incredible. And we have some amazing horse farms, right, Tony?
Oh,
and
beautiful.
I know you led a barn tour last year, and it was amazing what I learned about horses and the industry and so forth. We have so much to talk about the equine business in New Jersey and around the United States as well. It's amazing how many pockets of industry there is around this dynamic industry. Now, Tony, we're going to come to a break in a minute, so we're going to come back after the break and talk more about a number of topics. But again, Tony's been involved in the horse business from, he went to veterinary school, he was a blacksmith, he's raised horses himself, he's raised cattle, he's currently has a farm, still active farm going on, and he's got animals on that farm, horses for riding, and all types of things. So he's going to talk a lot about that today and how that impacts our commerce and our economy in general. I think people underestimate the farming industry and the power of it. And I think God was so it was so awesome how Jesus used the farming industry as the example of so many of his parables, like the one we talked about today. And I know our listeners will find and see how that'll tie right into everything we're going to touch on today. Again, 2 Chronicles 9:25. Solomon had 4,000 stalls for horses and chariots. And of course, Luke 8:5-14. A farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell on the path, it was trampled on, and the birds ate it up. Some fell on rocky ground, and when it came up, the plants withered because they had no moisture. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up, and it choked the plants. Still other seed fell on good soil. It came up and yielded a crop 100 times more than was sown. Again, we're here with Tony Abbatiello. He's got such a dynamic background. I have a resume I pulled off the internet about him, and I could probably do a whole show just on that. But we're going to be focused on the farming industry today, and especially the equine industry. And Tony, again, I thank you for being here. Listeners, stay tuned because you're going to want to take notes today. There's so much to learn, and fun stuff too, and some unique aspects of business that you may not have been aware of, especially in this dynamic industry. And we have a special segment for you at the end of the show that I think you're going to find interesting as well, which is a little new, but focuses on a scripture that I think is going to move business owners. You're going to want to stay right here on this station to hear more about it. You listen to Tandem Radio Live. I'm your host, Glenn DeLakin, here every Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time till noon. And we love to have you check in on our website, tandemradio.com. Feel free to send in your questions. If you have any questions about farming or about the industry in general or about business in general, we'll be glad to help you any way we can. We want to be your business resources. We point you to God and His Word for your business.